Welcome to DAX Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Good evening, folks, and thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of DAX Machina. We are thrilled to have you guys with us tonight. Joining me tonight in the studio is Ryan Paul Tremblay, my good friend and brother from another mother, and we are going to be talking about, you guessed it, the Bulletproof Bigfoot theory. Ryan, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, man?
Oh, live and kicking so far, but it's early.
I hear you.
So how things going out your way?
Oh, well, we're finally getting the summer weather, so that means I can go out a lot more, but it's been so windy around here. It's just constant wind, constant breeze, and you're just like, okay, you can stop anytime. I just want a nice warm day where I can do stuff. But other than that, it's going pretty good.
Here in Missouri, we went from winter to summer. There really wasn't a spring in between. It just went from chilly to hot.
No lapse. Yeah, no lapse whatsoever.
The weird part is you got to love Missouri because then it bounced back and forth a couple times. It was like hot, then cold, then hot, then cold. Now it's hot, so...
Arizona did that too. For a while, we had some really, really, really cold nights, and then the next day it'd be really warm, and back at night, cold again. And you're like, could you make up your mind, Mother Nature? I'm trying to plan some stuff here. But, Yeah,
we always joke, say here in Missouri, most people get 4 seasons in a year. We get 4 seasons in an afternoon sometimes.
Sounds about right. Wow.
See, you were telling me before we came on the air that you had some issues with some coyotes. I think everybody probably get a kick out of that.
Okay, so I took my dog Duke for his riverbed run. It's something that I do with him pretty much every day. Well, on this particular day, I didn't know there's going to be a pack of coyotes out there, and they kind of looked at my dog like they were a little bit hungry. So me and my poor boy Duke, we had to haul butt right back home, and good thing Duke's a fast runner. Because these coyotes, they weren't leaving us alone, dude. They were coming up on the sides of us, and, there was some behind me, and there was actually one in front of me, too. I think he was trying to decoy me. But we were too smart for that. Yeah, we were too smart for that. Duke's like, no, we're not having this. No.
None of that. Thank you.
No, not today, Satan. So
that's one of the things I like to point out to people is just because you're going out in whether you're going out for a hike in the woods or if you're going out, bigfooting or just looking to enjoy nature. It's not just dangerous cryptids that are out there. There are dangerous animals. There are mountain lions, coyotes, wolves, bears. There are all kinds of things out there that can and will hurt you given the opportunity.
There's javelina in Arizona too.
Be safe and be careful.
Yep, watch out for them javelinas too. Don't let anybody fool you about those, man. I got treed by javelina. So
there was a lady in Texas about a year and a half ago that was actually knocked down and eaten in her front yard right off her front porch.
By javelina?
Yeah, by a group of them.
Okay, I fear them a little bit more now. Thanks, DA.
Yeah, they're dangerous. And if they try to run between your legs, get out of the way because they'll use those little tusks to slit your hamstrings and drop you.
Yep.
They are dangerous.
Hey, I got treated by a group of them.
Those things.
We get a lot of people
will kill and eat you.
Oh yeah. I was treated by a family of them just because they had babies. I wasn't even messing with them. I wasn't even really near them. They heard the vibrations from me approaching and just took threat. Came right at me, dude.
You don't even have to be messing with them. I mean, they're not really afraid of anybody. They don't really have any natural predators. They're an invasive species, and they get flat mean.
Yeah, they're very bad tempered at times. So you got to be really careful.
Yeah, it's something that I like to tell everybody. If you're going to go out in the woods, whether it be hiking, camping, fishing, hunting, cryptid hunting, anything above, just be prepared because there are things out there that can and will hurt you.
Oh yeah. You always got to watch out for other human beings, most of all.
One of the most dangerous predators out there.
Yep, I agree.
Well, of course, Northwoods Cryptid's always chiming in. No matter what we're talking about, it somehow relates to his ex. He says those pigs are not as mean and nasty as my ex. He can always be counted on for a good joke about his ex.
Yeah, we got some good people in here tonight, though. We got Bigfoot Anonymous.
Yeah.
Wow, Eric Ogle. We got Ashley. Hey, Ashley.
Got a lot of folks in the house. Well, folks, I'm glad you guys decided to join us, and hopefully,
Oh, yeah.
Ryan and I will keep you guys entertained for a little while. With us talking about dangerous animals, that is the perfect segue into the theory of the bulletproof Bigfoot.
Oh,
Ryan, I don't know about you, but I've probably heard a dozen stories or more where people claim to have shot one and it did nothing.
oh, yeah. I've heard many tales like that, where they had the biggest, baddest guns available and took a chest shot and this thing just didn't get phased. I've heard plenty of stories about that.
And the one thing I have that troubles me about that is there is no animal from Cape Buffalo on down that has not been brought down by a firearm.
Correct.
So even mountain gorillas have been brought down and hunted. And granted, they're a protective species now, but any creature that bleeds can die. And some of these rounds are talking about hitting these things with would bring down a full grown moose. So my thing is no matter how good a shot you are, when that adrenaline drops, I don't think your accuracy is quite as good as you think it is.
No, I would agree with that. I mean, we were talking about that before the show. So, that could be because when adrenaline kicks in, you do tend to shake quite a bit.
Well, they taught us
focus.
Yeah, they taught us in the law enforcement academy, and we're talking trained marksmen, law enforcement officers who are trained to put lead on target. That during a intense crisis, a critical incident, what they refer to it as, during critical incidents, whether or not you're receiving fire or not, but during critical incidents, when your adrenaline is firing, law enforcement again, who are trained marksmen, and this is a nationwide statistic, their marksmanship drops to below 10% during critical incidents.
Wow.
And those are guys who are trained to shoot under fire. So
wow.
It's just,
that's quite a
if
drop.
you've got 1,000 pounds of primate bearing down on you, I would definitely call that a critical incident.
I'd call it a lot more than that.
Yeah, that's a brown pants moment.
Yeah, it's a Charmin moment. Yeah. Well, I mean, what if it's more than that, though? I mean, there are beliefs that, they're interdimensional. What if they are? Maybe there's something about their frequency, their vibration that, they're just not really on our dimension, on our plane. So when you shoot them, it's not really going through them at all. It's not hitting them at all. You think it is. Your eyes see it as hitting it, but it's not really hitting it.
Well, I will never be the guy that'll say that kind of thing is impossible. But unless it's something beyond our understanding, I would lean toward the evidence saying it's a flesh and blood creature. Of course, then you've got stories of the Wendigo. The Wendigo is a mystical creature. It's a type of curse. So I can see how normal bullets wouldn't really affect it that much. Especially since every Native American belief system that deals with the Wendigo have very specific ways one way in which one has to be killed. But again, this is probably just my bias from 20 years in law enforcement, that I tend to believe that Bigfoot's a flesh and blood creature. I'm not saying it's not impossible that it can't shift dimensions, and I'm not saying that anybody that's seen portals or things like that is making it up. I'm not saying that in any way whatsoever. I'm not discrediting anybody's account. I'm just saying that until we rule out that it's possibly a flesh and blood creature, because we haven't proven it to science, we can't attribute special abilities to it. I think the phrase I'm looking for is you really can't explain a mystery with another mystery.
Very true. Very true. Now, if they are just flesh and blood, though, it could be muscle mass. We don't know how dense their muscles or their bones are.
Well, very true. I mean, you wouldn't want to try to hunt a moose with a 223. I mean, the round's just not going to do enough damage to bring it down. And moose are notorious for stomping people to death. I mean, that's a mean animal.
Yes.
So if you just winged one, odds are really good you're going to regret it. So I don't think you'd see too many guys that would go out with a 22 caliber rifle or a 223 trying to take down a moose or an elk for that matter. So this could be something that's a question of caliber. It could be shot placement. I mean, I've seen guys still coming back from critical incidents with wounds to shoulders and wounds to legs. As long as it didn't hit a major artery, they could stay up and stay fighting.
Right.
So that
could be the case too. I mean, it could be that we didn't hit a vital organ.
Right. And I would say a primate let's say we take humans as the example and then compare them to mountain gorillas. Look how much more dense mountain gorillas' bones are than ours because they
Oh
carry a
yeah.
great deal of weight. Now,
Mm-hmm.
multiply that by 2 or even 3 with a Sasquatch being some reported in the 8, 9, 10 foot, and even up in Alaska, sometimes 15-foot range.
Mm-hmm.
The bone density and muscle density on a creature like that is gonna be incredible.
Of course, yeah. I mean, unless we hit it like right in the eye or in the mouth where there's a soft tissue, we're not
Mhm.
going to do a lot of damage right away. It's going to take numerous shots to bring one down. So, I think they are flesh and blood. Personally, I think Bigfoot is flesh and blood. Yeah, I don't buy into the whole spiritual stuff, but it's a possibility that maybe there's some kind of Bigfoot that's out there that's interdimensional and maybe an ultra terrestrial of some sort. So when you hit it, it's just it's not really affecting this kind of being.
Right. Well, Papa Bear's got a good point. I know Papa Bear served in the military. He deployed more than once.
Hmm.
He says I've seen drugged out people take multiple 7.62 rounds and never
Yeah,
drip. Whether it's the adrenaline drugs, it's crazy.
yeah,
Look at the North Hollywood shootout that happened with L.A. law enforcement when those 2 guys actually, I think it was 3 guys in full
hmm,
body armor robbed that bank. Nothing the
yes,
cops had were penetrating it until they went into a pawn shop down the road and started getting ARs. And that's the
hmm,
incident that actually started allowing cops to carry heavier weapons than just pistols. But
hmm.
that was just guys in body armor. Well, I know that wasn't exactly flesh, but still at the same time, if you're hitting something with that much dense muscle and bone, it's essentially equivalent of body armor protecting those heavy organs.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, it's their muscle mass. We don't know where to hit them and what kind to use to actually bring one down. Plus, maybe when they go in their rages, if they're getting
Mhm.
territorial, maybe it's like a human where they're just so raged up that the adrenaline's so peaked that they just don't feel anything. So it looks like we didn't hit them, but we really did. We're not going
I
back
think it's a
home with them
combination
though.
of that and just when you get that much fear in your body, that much adrenaline, you may not be
Hmm.
shooting as accurately as you
Well,
once did.
no, definitely not. No, no. But I mean, if this thing's on the radio, if it's trying to be
Oh
territorial
yeah,
and protect its turf, it's not going to show you when you register pain on it. That's what it's attacking you for. That's if it's bluff charging, it's not going to show pain. It's not going to stop to go,
Mhm.
ouch. It's going to try to intimidate you. So if it's coming at you, it's going to do whatever it can to refuse showing you pain. So even
Right.
if you shot it in the leg, it's still going to come at you.
Well, it's all it's very very similar to deer hunting. I mean, how
Hmm.
many times have you hit a deer and thought you hit it dead on, and you still end up
Yeah.
chasing it a half mile into the woods?
Very true. That's a very good analogy, actually. Yeah.
Deer, you
Or if
can
you've
hit a
ever been
deer
bear
with a good
or
caliber
bear
rifle.
hunting, if you've ever been bear
Mhm.
hunting, bears, man, they take a licking and they keep on ticking. They're tough. So if
And
bears are that tough, imagine if Sasquatch.
right, and even like I was saying with deer, they get that adrenaline. I mean, they're pumping out blood that would normally
Hmm.
kill them dead on the spot, but that adrenaline
Yes.
hits and they'll run for hundreds of yards, and
Yes, they
sometimes they'll
will.
crawl way back up underneath debris and stuff, and you've got to dig them out. I mean,
Yep.
it's kind of impressive how far a deer can run with a mortal wound.
Yeah, it's
So
survival instinct. So,
exactly, and so we
it's a
you look
very,
at
very
it.
strong instinct.
Yeah, it's it's the instinct that pretty much everything living has.
Yes,
You've got that
correct.
instinct to try to preserve your own life. So
Hmm.
I think we're not really just looking at one factor to the bulletproof Sasquatch theory. I think there's a certain percentage of it that is sheer muscle mass and body
Hmm.
mass and bone density. I think some
Yep.
of it comes down to marksmanship under fire, under duress,
I'd agree.
where they're missing, or it could simply be shot placement. You might have
Could
hit
be.
something like if you, yeah, I don't want to take a shot from anything, but I know if I took a round through the trapezius muscle, I'm going to bleed, but I'm not going to die.
Right. That's a very good point. Yeah, very, very good point. I can see that. But, I mean, it's still interesting to kind of, look at the different theories side by side, because that would
Exactly.
explain why we don't have any bodies just yet.
Right. I and again, I'm not going to be the guy that says none of the what they refer to as the woo is possible. I'm never going to call that impossible because we don't know. At the end of the day, we just don't know. But
That's
until we
true.
can prove it's a real creature, we can't describe anything else to it. So I try to focus on the physical evidence as much as I can. And if
Hmm.
it's a physical creature, then indeed it can certainly be killed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like somebody said in the chat too. They have a large, thick sternum, so maybe it's their
Mhm.
breastbone You know, it's just so thick that we can't penetrate that yet.
Well, there was a case of a grizzly bear in Denali National Park a few years back. It had eaten a hiker, and a park ranger ran across this bear, and the bear charged him. And he was carrying a 7mm Magnum. He put 7 rounds into the sternum on that bear, and it kept coming. The guy had the presence of mind to reload as he was backing away from the bear, put 7 more rounds into it, and killed it. When they cut the bear open for the necropsy, in the sternum of the bear, not only did they find the guy's first volleys of shots, but they found 6 .38 caliber slugs lodged in that bone. And inside its stomach, they found the hiker and the .38 caliber pistol that shot it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it not only ate the guy, it swallowed the pistol too, but the 38 slugs were lodged in its breastbone.
Wow. That's impressive. I mean,
so
it's
if
scary.
Bear's that dense. And that was, granted, it was a big bear. It was like 12 foot tall.
Oh, you know what? Bears are no joke, man. Bears are absolutely no joke. So, you know, I mean, it's not really surprising that people think Bigfoot is bulletproof, though. I mean, something that large, we're not going to bring it down with one shot. Not at all.
Mark Napier had an interesting point. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to fade off on you there.
That's
he said one guy told a story of being charged by a Bigfoot, and he emptied his lever action rifle. When he took his brother back to the place, a pile of unfired ammo laid where he had cycled them without firing. He was just cycling.
Wow.
Panic does odd things to people.
Yeah. Makes you think you're doing one thing, but you're really not.
Yeah, you know, fear is one thing that you, especially in like fear under fire.
Yes.
In law enforcement and the military, people can talk a big talk, but until you're looking down the barrel of someone else's weapon, you never know how you're going to react. Some people freeze, some people panic, some people rise to the occasion, but it's not everybody that can look something that's bearing down on them to kill them in the eye and stay cool. And that's kind of a rare thing.
Yeah, true. Very, very true. It's a good point, though. I mean, wow.
Sorry, I was reading a comment.
Yeah, we get some good questions in there.
Yeah, definitely. Werewolf 5674 says buck fever. I've seen guys get that.
Yep.
And guys that were ordinarily, you take them to the range, they'll put lead on target every single time, but they'll fire all 3 rounds and never even hit the deer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get that adrenaline jump, that eagerness, and you'll miss every time. But I'm not saying I think that Bigfoot or Dogman, for that matter, by extension, are bulletproof. I think anything that is flesh and blood can be brought down by the right placement. But I think a lot of this is simply people, saying, "Well, I know I hit it," when they probably missed it clean.
I would agree. I would definitely agree with that. I mean, I do think there's a lot of woo, though, that gets brought into this. And I think the woo definitely has its place. I really do. And if people are saying that they saw like bullets go right through them or something like that, that's something we have to take into account and kind of wonder, why does it do that? What happened there? Was it a clean shot that just went right through this thing, or was it just something more to it where, this wasn't a really, what I might call an terrestrial Bigfoot? It was something different that looked like a Bigfoot. And I think that's something that's going on here too. It's a weird theory that I have, and I think Ashley kind of has the same theory, but people are seeing more than one thing here. So is it really a terrestrial Bigfoot they're seeing and shooting at, or is it something that's like an ultra-terrestrial Bigfoot that they're seeing? And that would explain why they could be considered bulletproof, because they're not from here. So there's a whole lot to that.
Yeah, there's some factors we just can't explain. There's some accounts we just can't explain, no matter how logically you try to approach it.
Right.
There are people that I believe to be credible people who've said, "I believe it walked into a portal. I just saw it vanish as it stepped through an area, and it just disappeared." And I will not say, "Oh, you're smoking crack," anything like that, because these are people whose opinions I believe in. I don't think they're not a credible witness. So we can't just go, "Yeah, no, that didn't happen." But
what? I'll tell you what, DA. I'll tell you what, being a researcher like I am, I wasn't really privy to all the weird stuff when I first started. But since I began, and after all these years, man, anybody tells me something, I'm not going to just be like, "Oh, that didn't happen," because we're into the weird. That's what we're studying. We're studying the weird and the unusual. So if something weird and unusual happens, we can't just dismiss it. We've definitely got to look into it.
Yeah, and whether or not we want to admit it or not, cryptozoology, it's all fringe science. It is all out there. There's no place you can go and get a PhD in cryptozoology.
Right.
And by and large, these are people largely untrained. I'm not knocking anybody. I'm not saying anything. These are people that just either had an encounter of their own, or were so fascinated by the subject they began investigating it on their own. So backgrounds vary wildly of people that research Bigfoot and other cryptids. And you got some people that might come from a law enforcement background, some people that come from a professional background. There are people from all walks of life who investigate this, and everybody brings their own perspective. So what one person might see as they just stepped into the woods and disappeared, and another person might say, I think they vanished into a portal because they just disappeared. Now, reason why I'm a little on the fence about that is I grew up deer hunting with a buddy of mine named Mike, and I'm not going to bust out his last name because I don't have his permission. But when we joined the Army about the same time, Mike became an Army Ranger.
Okay.
He was always good in the woods. I mean, when we go deer hunting, he was always just spot on. But I was giving him crap after we got out of the military. We went out to go hunting one time. And I was giving him crap. And I said, oh, you're not that good at it. I could find you. He goes, you think so? I said, yeah. He goes, okay, find me. And I turned around and that son of a gun was gone. And I never found him.
Wow.
And that's a guy that was trained how to do it, not somebody that was born to it.
That's cool.
And I know for a fact he didn't disappear through a portal. He just freaking vanished.
So he just knows how to hide. He's
right.
Like the predator.
He's very good at camouflage.
Okay. All right. Well, see, maybe that's what they are too. Maybe it's not really cloaking. Maybe it's not vanishing into a portal. Because let's face it, things in nature like bears, raccoons, rabbits, they are good at disappearing before our very eyes. If they want to get out of there, they're going to get out of there. We're going to be like, where'd they even go? It's happened to me plenty of times.
Same thing with deer hunting. You can be standing in a deer stand all day long, and until a deer moves, you're probably not going to see it. It's very few people that have an eagle eye enough where they can spot it among the foliage, because if they're not moving, they're very hard to see. Every deer I've ever gotten, I got because it moved.
Okay, well, see, that's what their fur is for. Their fur is not just for warmth. It's to camouflage them in their environment so that their predators, can't see them. So, it's not out of the realm to say that Bigfoot has something similar. Like maybe their fur, it blends them into their trees, into the bushes that are surrounding them. And they're not really cloaking. They're just, ducking down and they know how not to move. Right.
Well, the guys that did the video, the documentary 168, they talked about finding hairs of skunk ape that had clear shafts like a polar bear.
Right.
Now, a hair like that is going to pick up and reflect the colors around it. They also said it had a neutral gray skin tone, which again, neutral gray, as you know, if you put neutral gray up around other colors, it will pick up the colors around it.
Yep.
That's why a lot of people use it for like backsplashes in their kitchen and stuff, because it will reflect whatever colors are with it.
It's like a mirror color almost.
Right.
It'll mirror the colors around it.
Now, something that's got a neutral color skin and clear hair shafts could step into a bush and go motionless, and you could walk within arm's length of it and probably not see it.
Oh yeah, bears demonstrate that. Like grizzly bears and black bears, they know how to just blend into something right there, and they could be right next to you, and you're not going to know it unless that bear wants you to know it. I've had that experience when I was out in the woods, so it's possible.
Northwoods Cryptid has a good point. He said venomous snakes are good at hiding too, so be careful when out in the woods.
Oh yes, sir,
I can't tell you the number of times I've almost stepped on a copperhead because it was just in the leaves and you didn't see it till you were on top of it.
Yeah, I have to watch out for rattlesnakes here in my area. So yeah, that's something they teach you is if you live in Arizona, you got to look for certain things with a rattlesnake.
Oh yeah, let me see if I've got it. I know it's right here on my desk somewhere. I've got a snake bite anti-venom kit that I always take hiking with me. I don't know where I put it. It's not up here anymore. I must have stuck it in my pack. But having a snake bite kit on hand is a good idea.
Yeah, you definitely should have that. Everybody should have that if they're going out in the woods, actually, to be honest with you. You never know.
There was a time I went hiking with some friends up in Rocky Mountain National. And I rounded a bend in the trail, and there was a bear, a grizzly. And it was just there. We didn't hear it. It didn't make any noise. We rounded a corner and there it was. And the first thing I said was, don't run. And of course I hear, as everybody takes off, and I'm standing here nose to nose with this bear, and it looked at me, and I looked at it, and it went its way, and I went mine. I just kind of backed away slowly and went back down the trail. Now, had that bear had cubs with it, or it been right before hibernation, I might have been one of the missing 411.
You probably would have been DA, to be honest with you.
I mean, I came close to him. I could have reached out and done like I do to my dog. I could have reached out and booped him on the nose.
You were that close?
Yeah, I was close. I mean, I was close enough to reach out and touch it.
That's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was believe me, it was very uncomfortable. That was what I referred to as an oh shit moment.
So you could hear that thing huffing at you, I bet, huh?
I could smell its breath.
Oh.
I literally came within arm's length of it, and it just looked at me, and I'm surprised it didn't just knock the shit out of me and, maul me to death. But it looked at me, and I looked at it, and clearly it was as surprised as I was. Well, I ran into the corner, and I'm looking at it like, oh, crap, and it's looking at me like, oh, crap, and we just kind of went our own ways. And I was like, whoo, that was close.
Oh, man, that'd be way, way too close. I mean, that reminds me of when, the bear was hiding on me and my brothers way back when. That thing was right in the tall grass, and we had no idea that bear was there until that thing just stood up and grunted at us, and we're like, oh, a bear. Oh, my. So, yeah, and stupidly we ran, though. Yeah.
Me and some friends of mine, we were went canoeing down on one of the on the Buffalo River in Arkansas, and we were just paddling along, just minding our own business. We weren't really talking. We were just kind of admiring the views and some of the bluffs and caves that we were looking at. And we passed within 10 feet of a mountain lion. It was like at the edge of the water drinking, and it just looked at us and went back to drinking. I'm like, just keep paddling. Just keep paddling.
Yeah, those things are nothing to mess around with.
Apparently, it didn't want in the water with us. So, it just looked at us and went back to drinking.
That makes sense.
So for the rest of the trip, we stayed farther from the shore.
It's a very good idea because mountain lions are no joke at all.
And that's another animal. If you don't hit it just right, you won't drop it.
Yeah, actually, my brother had to kill a mountain lion. It took about 3 or 4 shots, and he's a very good shot when he's hunting. So for my brother to say, yeah, this thing took 4 hits, there had to be something to that. That mountain lion was just running on adrenaline and just did not want to go down.
Yeah, and it just falls back to that adrenaline, that fight for survival. Even with, like I was saying, with deer, you can hit it, a good shot placement, but it gets that adrenaline dump and it tries to get away. It's going to try to survive.
Right, and like a lot of people will talk about taking headshots on Bigfoot, though. And if they're some kind of primate, though, if they're anything like mountain gorillas, their skulls are a lot thicker than ours. So bone density would actually play a very, very big role in a headshot.
I wouldn't take a headshot on a deer. The bone's just too thick.
Yeah, it's not going to work. I mean, sure, it's going to injure it. It may kill it eventually, but if something's skull is so thick, though, that bullet's just going to piss it off,
They talk about the sagittal crest on a Bigfoot, how the skull kind of slopes. Unless you hit that dead on, it's just going to ricochet.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not something I would try to do a headshot on anything that big. I would aim for major arteries and veins. Like aim for the neck, aim for the brachial artery, aim for the carotid in the neck, the brachial in the arm, and the what is that? The big vein in the leg.
Oh boy, I'm trying to remember that one.
The femoral artery.
That's it. Yep. I would go for the eyes, though. I mean, eyes would be a click shot that goes right to the brain.
Yeah, but I don't know if I want to try to hit a target that big on something that's moving.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if it was like one of those, if you could take your time and really aim, but if it's going right at Well,
then you start talking about shot placement under stress. I mean, aiming at something that small when you got the adrenaline dumping, it's not going to be easy.
True.
But we've also something we haven't talked about is ballistics. For example, the Guncrafter Industries 50 GI. During tests, it went through over 40 inches of ballistic gel. Ballistic gel is designed to simulate human tissue. Right. So if it went through 40 inches of ballistic gel, that's like going through 3 people.
Ooh.
So I would say a handgun like that would be more than capable of punching through some pretty heavy muscle mass. Even if it went, let's say it did 25%, that's still 10 inches into the wound.
Yeah, it's going to cause some major damage.
Cavity. So I think that would definitely be effective, but then again, it falls back to, can you actually hit the target when your adrenaline's flying?
Right. I think, like you said, though, a lot of people would really, lose their shots because they're just, so terrified and the adrenaline just kicking in so hard. Yeah, it really does kind of replace logic. When you're afraid and your adrenaline's going, your logic's kind of out the window.
Mark Napier says, if you don't hit it in the eye, in the sinus, or in the open mouth, you're SOL. I would agree.
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to just piss it off.
No, because you may not get another shot. You may have to just take one and that's it.
Papa Craig C says, I kill deer by shooting them in the head regularly. Well, you're a better shot than I am, man. I don't know that I would try to hit a brainstem, or cut the spinal cord. And that's a pretty good shot, and you're probably going to have to use a fairly significant, a fairly significant round. I've always just gone for the sweet spot in the chest, personally, even if I end up having to track it for a little ways.
Well, I mean, that's part of the game, though. You got to track your prey after a while.
Ooh, Werewolf 5674 has got a good point. He said, when training for gunfights now, the pelvis is a new target because of body armor. Same for Bigfoot. Yeah, what's something they taught us in the academy.
I could see
that shots to the pelvic girdle are generally fatal. You will bleed out pretty quickly.
I could see that. That's pretty smart. Yeah, it's a pretty smart idea. I wouldn't want to be the one to shoot a Bigfoot, though. I'll admit I'd feel guilty for doing it.
I would, too. The only way I would ever shoot one is just out of self-preservation.
If I had to. Yeah,
I would have to be like under extreme duress to shoot one. I don't advocate killing one. I don't think that it's necessary for us to prove the species by killing one. But unfortunately, that's probably what it's going to take. Now, having said that, I'm not going to be the guy that does it. I don't want to be. And again, the only way I will ever shoot one is if I absolutely have to, to save my life or save the life of somebody I'm with. Now, I do go armed whenever I go out into research areas. And that's not just for cryptids, because there are a lot of dangerous animals out there. I mean, there's snakes.
Human beings.
And I don't know if you've ever seen the results of a raccoon getting a hold of a dog, but a raccoon can do a lot of damage, and they can do a lot of damage to people too. That's a mean animal when cornered.
Yeah, we used to go raccoon hunting back east, so I've unfortunately have seen what a raccoon can do to a dog, and it's not pretty. It's pretty grotesque.
Yeah, raccoons and possums can both be very dangerous, especially to dogs.
But possums are sweethearts, though. You don't want to kill those too often.
Well, they're nuisance animals around here. They'll knock over trash cans. They will mess up a dog if they get to it. Muskrats will mess up a dog too if it's another. Big
muskrats
dog.
Ooh.
Muskrats are mean.
Yes, they are.
There are tons of animals in pretty much any environment in the United States, be that the desert climb like you've got down in Arizona, woods here in Missouri, you get up to Alaska, there's a lot of stuff that'll eat you. There are lots of different environments within the boundaries of the United States, and all of us enjoy different aspects of going out into the woods. I lived down in New Mexico for a while, and I've been all through Arizona, and I can tell you that there is a stark beauty to that desert, especially at night when you can see you can see the stars. If you lay on your back, it's like you're floating through space. You cannot really imagine how clear the stars are in the desert. It's just incredibly beautiful, and there's a stark beauty to the desert all its own.
Especially where I'm at. Because I'm in a small town. We don't live in a city, so we don't have city lights. So when nighttime falls, it's beautiful. I mean, I will say Arizona has its downside, but nighttime isn't one of them.
Yeah, and you can hear at night you can hear the coyotes. There's a veritable symphony you can hear in the desert.
Oh yeah, the owls, and sometimes you hear the quail, and mixing with the coyotes and whatnot. It's really pretty. It is.
I do like the desert.
Me too. Me too.
It's got a mysticism all its own. Now, me personally, if I had to pick any one place where I would want to live, I would pick a wooded mountainous area where there's plenty of water, because that's just my personal appeal. But I've been a lot of places with a lot of different terrain types, and there's beauty to be found just about everywhere.
Oh, most definitely. But I mean, like you, though, I prefer the forested mountains, but the desert is very tranquil and very beautiful. And like Ashley said, it's oddly windy. It has been lately for the past year or so. We've just had nonstop wind. So it's like, oh, go away.
When I lived in New Mexico, we would have years like that where it was just one year it'd be super windy and the next year it'd be dead.
Yeah, like last summer it wasn't that bad, but this year, man, the winds have just been howling. I was going, what is going on here?
But my point was when I was talking about different terrains is it doesn't matter which terrain you have, you're going to find different assortments of wild animals.
Yes.
Of course, you're always going to have that dangerous human element. I mean, everybody's seen an episode of Criminal Minds. They know there are predators out there that walk on two legs that aren't cryptids.
Yep.
So whatever you're going to do, if you're going to go out in the woods, if you're going to go out in the desert, if you're going to go anywhere, any of the terrain you've got, be it swamp or whatever around you, make sure you're prepared for your environment.
Yeah, you gotta be really careful. You really do.
Take plenty of water. Take a medical kit.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you've got more than one means of everything. We used to have a saying when we went camping. We used to say 2 is 1 and 1 is none.
Yep.
If you've got one flashlight, you've essentially got no flashlight because when it dies, you're done. So we usually went with the rule of 3. We took 3 of everything.
It's a good idea. That's a very good idea. Yeah, like Ashley said, know before you go.
Exactly. Be prepared for your environment. Pat Murphy says, I don't see my post or highlighted message. I don't know what she's referring to.
I'm not really sure either, DA.
I must have missed something. You scroll back just a little bit.
Was she trying to tag somebody?
Maybe. Werewolf 5674 says I was talking about possums. He says they kill ticks. I have a dog that will eat possum. Yeah, possums. The one good thing about possums is they do eat a lot of ticks.
Mm-hmm.
I must have missed something.
Yeah, Sholo is beautiful. It really is.
Irene Duet says she's going to have to call it a night. Enjoyed the show. Well, thank you for being here, Irene. Hope you have a great night.
Oh, she made a donation. Okay.
Oh, it's not showing up. Let me... Wow. Neither YouTube or Restream caught it.
Yeah,
well,
I didn't.
Pat, thank you for the donation for the super chat or super sticker, whichever it was. But for some reason, it's not showing up. I can't find it at all.
Weird.
Well, Restream's been acting kind of odd here lately.
Yeah, it has been.
Lene Perkins says, I'm usually always packing when we go in the woods. Yeah, I always take something.
That's a good idea, Lene. And hello, I didn't get to say hi to you earlier, Miss Lene. I'm not ignoring you, I promise.
And, I always make sure I've got a firearm and usually multiple forms of cutlery.
Mm-hmm. You see, I don't really go armed because I'm just like, I'm in such a small town. I really don't feel like I have to be armed. If I was going to like Mount Lemmon or the Rincons or whatever, then yeah, I would definitely go armed. But around here,
have you ever been down in the Mogollon Rim?
Yes. Yep.
What do you think of that area?
I love it, dude. I want to go back during the summertime. So that's going to be one of my many adventures during the summer.
That's one of the places I do want to go. And hopefully if I get to make it, I'll let you know when I'm coming and we can go together.
Please do. Let's do it. Let's get some people out and we'll go over to the Mogollon Rim and hang out there.
Yeah. That'd be awesome. Fun.
Yeah, dude. It's, oh God, you're going to love it. It's, got that nice small town around it too. So
it's a pretty area.
Oh yeah, there's a Dunkin' Donuts actually sells like Mogollon Monster stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Doyle Thorne has a good point. He says the rule of 3 is also used for guns. Yes, it is.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is. I'm not saying what I carry when I'm out there, but yes, it is.
Knife, rock, and bear spray.
I carry a pistol when I go fishing, and it's not just as in case I've got a dangerous fish, because God knows you can pull out a large blue cat, but I'm not going to shoot a fish. But it's probably, if I carry a pistol when I'm fishing, it's usually for snakes. Oh
yeah, well, I mean, you could also have bear that creep up on you because you're fishing. So
yeah, they've been capturing like Ring doorbell footage and security camera footage of black bears coming here into town in Springfield, and we're the third largest city in the state. There's actually been a couple of places nearby, a little town called Nixa, which is kind of a suburb of Springfield,
right?
That somebody got a mountain lion on their Ring doorbell.
Whoa!
In town. So here in Missouri, they're getting pretty bold.
Yeah. Wow. Imagine catching it on your doorbell, though.
Yeah, that would be great footage. And it's like not even on a trail cam; it's on your front door cam. I'm like, oh, I got a package. Oh crap, it's not a package.
Get all excited thinking it's the stuff from Amazon. It's in a mountain lion instead.
Right. Did anybody order a mountain lion?
Nope, wasn't me. Send it back.
Yeah. I'm not
Oh,
signing for
Mogs
that.
is going. Oh, cool. Mogs, I know Mogs.
That'd be really cool.
Mm-hmm. Wait, Mogs is back in Arizona? Huh. Okay. I didn't know that. Last I knew, Mogs was down in Florida, but okay.
Alyssa says, did you know you can catch a fish with a speaker magnet? I didn't know fish were magnetic.
Yeah, I had no idea.
That would be kind of cool. I'd like to see that done.
I'm curious to how that works, though. I'm like trying to picture this in my mind, how that goes.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how that would work, too. Yeah, I mean, stranger things have happened.
I'm really curious about that now.
Yeah, I'd like to hear more about that.
Oh, Whistle, what'd you do? You got me all curious, man.
1980 CNH says, I'm not signing for that bear or mountain lion.
No, I'll let Ashley sign for it. She can have it.
Bill Sloan says you catch steelhead.
Wah, 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 wah.
Melissa says fish have a gland that's high in iron.
Huh. That's true, though.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is true.
That's kind of wild. Like, that'd be a pretty wild dragging a fish out with a magnet.
Papa Craig. Yeah, Papa Craig, hit me up on Facebook if you can, man. Yeah, definitely.
If you guys do that, take lots of pictures. I'm not going to be able to get down there, but in July this year, unfortunately, I've got plans for most of the summer. You see what Ashley said?
Yeah. Oh, and she calls my jokes bad. Oh, come on, Ashley.
Michelle Burns says, greetings from Stockton, Missouri. I've been to Stockton many times. I've been fishing on that lake a lot of times. Welcome to the show.
Look up Jamaica traditional magnet fishing. There are videos.
Really?
I'm definitely going to look that up later. Yeah, I will definitely look that up.
I will be looking that up myself.
Yeah, I'm curious now.
I think we've effectively discussed most of the theories. The physical theories about Bulletproof Bigfoot, Bulletproof Dogman. Why don't we look at some of the less physical theories? I know that they've discussed the possibility of portals, or they could possibly be something beyond our understanding. But what about the possibility that a friend of mine, Tex from Texas Front Porch, that he talked about? What if some of the cases where people have claimed they saw a dark shadow near their campsite with red eyes? What if it was actually something demonic?
That's possible. That's really possible.
What if you're shooting something that's not even physical?
Well, see, I mean, wouldn't demons fall under maybe ultra terrestrial and interdimensional?
I would think they would fall into that category, yeah. Because they're not naturally from this dimension.
Yeah, no, they're not from our realm. So I mean, it'd be interdimensional and ultra terrestrial. So I would think maybe they have different vibrations again. It goes back to the whole vibrations of their bodies.
Yeah, and that would take it more into a paranormal encounter than an actual cryptid encounter. But I wouldn't rule that out. I mean, look how many cases of Dogman sightings and Bigfoot sightings in and around cemeteries.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with Dogman, though, it actually makes sense because a lot of Native American tribes used to talk about how Dogmen were guardians of sacred areas like cemeteries and, places of practice and worship. So, I mean, for us to see Dogmen around cemeteries, it shouldn't really seem that unusual.
Well, yeah, but I always have trouble with the whole Dogman as the protector thing, because every Dogman encounter I've ever read or talked about or spoken to somebody about, it's never been a friendly encounter. I have a theory for that. Encounters where people are like, well, we kind of made eye contact, or people that have gifting stumps where they leave, they have peaceful interactions with Bigfoot. You don't get that with Dogman. Everybody describes Dogman as either demonic or hellish.
Right. I've got a theory for that, though. Okay. Now, when the indigenous people said they were guardians, right? I think they meant they were guardians for their cultures, their beliefs. Now, us, we're the settlers that came over here. Okay. So the Dogmen would not be dedicated to protecting us. Okay. They have no reason to want to protect us either. We're not from that belief system, that religion, if you will.
Right.
So with the Native Americans saying they're protectors, okay, they were protecting what they believed in, not what we believe in. So when they come across us, they kind of see us as that threat, because maybe
I can see that.
That's what Dogmen were protecting them from, was not their own people, but what we were doing. So I think that's why they're not guardians for us, because we're the foreigners in a way.
My uncle, he was married into the family. He married my Aunt Violet. My Uncle Buddy was full blood Cherokee, and I learned so much from that guy. I spent so much time growing up with him. I was just like my mentor, like a second dad. But he told me something that has stuck with me, and I've heard it from other sources, and it's something that I've always remembered whenever I go out, especially to a research area. He said that if you interact with one of these creatures, you're going to get a reaction that is based on your intent when you go in. He said, if you go in the woods looking for trouble, you're going to find it.
Yeah, I mean, that's another theory I had too, is their response is how we perceive them. So however we're reacting, that's how they react.
If you go out there in the woods with the intent of finding one to kill it, I don't think you're going to see one. And if you do, it's going to be a dangerous encounter. I think it's kind of that old expression, you get what you give. If you go out there with dangerous intent, I think you're going to find danger.
I would agree. And, maybe it's like Ashley said too, they're not really the more dangerous type. It's just that in our minds, we associate them with werewolves. So when we see them, we instantly think, oh my God, werewolf horror movie. Yeah. We freak out. So then in response, they freak out too. And they come after us, which incidentally though, they say they're so dangerous. How many people have actually been killed by dogmen though? I mean, if they were so dangerous, we wouldn't have all these reports.
There are lots of stories of attacks. We've got the Dogman siege of Lockett Ranch. We've got the LBL stories, and there are multiple stories in and around LBL. Just here recently, there were 2 people killed. I believe it was in Kentucky under mysterious circumstances. They called it a pack of stray dogs, but the coroner's report is not bearing that out. We are seeing dangerous cryptid attacks, but again, what led up to that encounter? I mean, people discuss potential mind speak, that Bigfoot or other creatures can not only understand your thoughts, but basically interpret your thoughts, and you can hear them in return. I don't know if I put a lot of stock in that. It's never happened to me. I'm not going to say it can't happen. It's just never happened to me. And I've been out, and the only time I've ever had what I would consider something like that is that primitive part of my brain that I refer to as monkey brain going, you need to be somewhere else right now. You need to get out.
I was just going to say that maybe it's not really mind speak, but it's our own conscience speaking to us. Because everybody says you have that voice of reason. Yeah. How people say, oh, listen to the voice of reason, listen to this, listen to that. That means that there's that inner monologue going inside our heads during situations. What if we're actually mistranslating this? Like it's actually our brains telling us that, and we just happen to think, oh, it's this creature telling us to do that.
Right.
Yeah, I've never really.
It could be the case. I'm not going to say, I can't say definitively one way or the other, but the only time I've ever had something like that, when it was just my primitive brain going, you need to get the hell out of here. You're in danger.
Yeah. In my case too, like when I encountered the dogman that I ran into, it wasn't it speaking to me. That was my brain going, you should be running, but you're not. Why not? So I knew better.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't necessarily require mind speak to understand aggression or understand somebody's frame of mind. Like for example, if you're walking into a room and a guy approaches you with his shoulders squared and his fist drawn up, odds are really good he's coming at you aggressively. Now, same scenario, same guy. You walk in and the guy smiles, puts his arm around and goes, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a long time." That that's not going to trip any red flags and make you feel threatened. But somebody coming at you quickly with in a aggressive posture, you're going to spark that.
Right.
Kind of like people that live in large cities, they'll get that feeling that they're in danger if they walk down a dark alley, or if they in a parking garage, you hear that noise, that heightened adrenaline kicks in, you start feeling that sense of fear. So I think a lot of that has to do with our perception, not necessarily us receiving any kind of mind speak. But again, that's just my theory.
Well, that's all like instilled in us too as we're growing up. Everybody says to, use your senses, use this and use that. So we're kind of taught overly to listen to voices that aren't always there.
Very true. And that's one thing that I learned, had instilled into me in the law enforcement academy, was to listen to my gut.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of just ingrained in our DNA, really. It's just something we have.
Yeah.
And Papa Craig, that sounds perfect to me, sir.
Yeah. I just had instructed Nightpot to there we go. My email address and physical mail point of contact should just be popping up now.
Yeah. When you get Papa Craig's phone number, let me know, DA.
Okay, we'll do. I'll forward it on to you.
Thank you. I appreciate
My
that.
pleasure, man.
I don't know. I don't believe that Dogman's as dangerous as everybody likes to believe, though. I mean, we wouldn't have as many reports and encounters if they were as dangerous. And I think a lot of people just like to villainize the Dogman because they look like the bad guys, And really, if there's some kind of animal or whatever, there's really no bad guys and no evil in the animal kingdom. It's humans that know evil. It's not animals. That's us.
Well, not necessarily. There are cases of killer whales hunting and killing out of revenge. I think it's just a function of anything with a higher brain function. It doesn't necessarily. I mean, chimpanzees have waged war.
Right.
I don't think it's a uniquely human condition. I think it's.
I don't think that's really evil, though. I mean, I think when monkeys do it, or like when you said the killer whales killed for revenge, I don't think that's readily evil. Evil is a human notion. I mean, really, in nature, it's eat or be eaten, kill or be killed. That's what it is. It's us that puts the stipulations on what's evil and what's good. That's human conditioning.
I don't think I would get too many people argue with me if I gave the thought that Gugway are just pure evil.
Well, I'll say they're not nice. They're they're probably jackasses, but
they're definitely top end predators that are not used to being challenged.
Right. I mean, they're just king of the hill. It's pretty much what they are.
Yeah. I was going to say something else. I completely forgot what it was. 1980 CNH says, I've heard that listen to your gut feeling is also like a second brain, if you know what I mean. Yeah. I've always referred to it as my monkey brain.
Yeah,
that primitive part of my brainstem that contains what I call good old fashioned ass saving fear.
Oh yeah, like in my encounter, there was that part of my brain that's telling you, run, but then there's another part of my brain going, nope, stay still. And it wasn't the Dogman talking to me. It wasn't the Dogman going, hey, yo, Ryan, run. That was my brain going, we should be running. We're not, but
get out
we
of
should
here
be.
like yesterday.
Yeah, but it wasn't that thing telling me to do it. That thing was just staring at me going, why aren't you running? I'm sure it was thinking at itself going, okay, you're just staring at me. What's your problem, dude?
Well, you could be onto something with a Dogman. I mean, we are kind of preconditioned to think of the werewolf or the wolf man as just the big prey.
Well, here's the thing, though. We're conditioned to think that any kind of canine, like the wolf especially, it goes all the way back to Europe. We're bred to think that the wolf is evil in all forms. But if you were raised like, with Native Americans or whatever, the wolves aren't evil. Like foxes and wolves and things like that, they're seen as very virtuous. So I think it's because of our cultures, really, that we view the wolves, the werewolves, the Dogman as all evil. It's just because of how they look. It's a very superficial judgment.
West Coast Dogman Project says, DA, have you ever had an encounter with a cryptid? Yes, I've actually had more than one encounter. I had a couple of incidents that happened while deer hunting when I was a young man that while I didn't see the creature, that's literally all it could have been because there was nothing else that could have picked up a almost 200-pound deer and carried it away without leaving a trail. A mountain lion, which didn't exist in Missouri at the time.
Right.
Could not have dragged it away without leaving a trail. We didn't have black bear in Missouri at the time. Hasn't been a wolf sighting in Missouri in over 125 years. And coyotes would leave a mess. They would not drag it off to eat it. They would destroy it on the spot.
Aren't they reintroducing wolves in Missouri though? Or
yes, but that's up in the northern part of Missouri.
Okay.
They haven't made their way. They haven't made their way this far south, at least as far as I know.
Okay, well. Yeah, Mark, I mean, well, if you think a pack of wolves are evil, that's going to be a human thing. We're going to be like, oh, because they're killing us, they're evil. But we need to remember, by animal standards, it's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, kill or be killed.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking us down because we're food.
And I understand, and and agree with you to the point of saying that it's not in the nature of the animal to be evil,
Right.
because it's basically predatory instinct.
Right.
They're the apex predator. It's eat or be eaten. But Pat Murphy, it popped up. She gave us a $5 super chat. Pat, thank you very much. She says, if you like scary stories, go to Pine Box Tales on YouTube. Yeah, that's a great channel. They got some great stories over there. Not all of them are cryptids. There's some of them that are just plain
Pine
creepy.
Box. That name sounds familiar. Pine Box Tales. Oh, okay, I know who runs that channel. Yeah, go check it out.
It's a really cool channel. But getting back to the nature of evil in these types of creatures, I think it comes down to intent. Like stories of Gugway. The Gugway are violent super predators. They really are. Does that make them evil? Well, that would
by our perspective, sure.
Yeah, definitely from our perspective, we would consider them evil. But is there malice behind it, or is it just a predatory instinct? If there's malice behind it, if there's enough thought there that there's true malice, they're killing just because they can, then I would say they definitely fall into evil. But we talked about a few minutes ago, we were talking about how possibly some of these sightings that people have seen of dark shadows in the woods with red eyes could have been demonic. Then I would say, yeah, we've definitely got true evil. Most, if not all, of the Dogman encounters that I've talked to people about, they felt threatened, they felt endangered. And again, I don't know if that's because of direct threat or how it was perceived. There's the theory, the Uncanny Valley theory, and it happens with people all across the globe, from all walks of life, from all backgrounds and all countries. There is something about something that looks almost like us in the dark that terrifies all of us. It's a near human sighting, something that looks almost like us. Like when you turn off your bedroom light and that chair in the corner that had the pile of laundry in it that suddenly looks like a human shape. Yeah, everybody gets that primitive fear, and it's not just unique to any one group of people.
Yeah.
Stan, go ahead.
Stan Winston used to follow that rule. When Stan Winston was making monsters, they used to tell him, oh, your monsters are, too human in shape. And he would tell them, well, yeah, the more human it is, the more terrifying it is. And that's actually something that I learned in art school, because I went to the same college that he kind of taught at for a while. So they used to tell us, the more human you make monsters, the more terrifying it is to the human brain.
Oh, I completely agree. But the Uncanny Valley, when you're talking about that, there's something that was nearly human, that looked human, especially in the dark, at one time preyed upon us. So, maybe in the days long passed away to genetic memory, maybe back in the days before our people were able to make fire, there was something in the dark that looked a lot like us that hunted us.
Yeah.
It could have been a Bigfoot type creature. Could have been a Gugway. Could it have been Neanderthal? Whatever it was, it left an indelible mark on our psyche that humans across the planet from all walks of life still fear something that looks almost like us in the dark.
Yep. Kind of makes you wonder if we're fearing ourselves in a way, though.
Yeah.
If we know that we're our own worst enemy.
Yeah, well, we all know that humans down through the centuries have been our own worst enemy at many times.
This is true. This is very true.
Hey, we got another super chat from West Coast Dogman Project. Hey, thank you, man, for that. I really appreciate it. Glad you're here tonight.
Yeah, West Coast is a very cool guy.
Yeah, very. I need to hook up with him and maybe get him on the show.
Yes, definitely.
That would be a good time. We got a lot of talk about the Gugway going on in the chat, and
I see that.
On board with that. Heck, you and I did the Gugway before, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
we sure did.
That was a good time. And the Gugways are the ones that freak me out. I think they freak me out more than Dogman.
Yeah, I mean, there's just something about those that's downright terrifying for some reason. I think it's just the way that they behave and that they come right at people.
They're notoriously more aggressive than most of the Sasquatch.
Yeah, I mean, whereas Bigfoot, like your patty types, are so shy and elusive. These guys almost want to be seen just so they can come at you.
Right. And I'm not saying that the patty type of Bigfoot can't be dangerous. And I'm sure individual personalities are as widely varied as they are among people. So you might find one that's just ticked off or pissed off at the world, or is no longer able to hunt like it used to. It's getting up there in years. It might very well see some hiker with his iPod, his iPod going as an easy prey item. And
I mean, that's the way of the thing with animals. You know, when an animal is wounded, it will take on easier prey. Look at the lions of Savo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of them actually had an injury, so they had to rely on, feasting on humans because they couldn't hunt the normal stuff anymore.
Right.
So could it be the same for a gugwe? Absolutely, yeah.
And well, the gugwe, I think pretty much anything that aren't gugwe is probably considered a prey item, because they're big enough, they're strong enough, and they're definitely smart enough to take on just about anything out there.
I agree. I'd agree on that one. Yeah.
It kind of falls back to some of the encounters that came out of like the Louisiana swamps of like the Honey Island swamp monster, and how it would, is been even reputed to have eaten gators.
Yeah.
That's a big animal that can take out a gator.
Oh, definitely. And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, West Coast. Ryan is the guy if you want to know about the gugwe. Well, thank you, West Coast. I appreciate that, dude.
Yeah, we did a show on the gugwe, so if you haven't seen that, you should check that out. It was a couple months back.
Yeah, I don't know about comparing gugwe to cannibal headhunters, though. That's comparing them to humans too much. The headhunters are a human thing.
Well, gugwe, the name gugwe itself means face eater. So I think like in the Nahanni Valley, where they would report finding bodies, missing heads, I think that may very well be gugwe. I think the gugwe just took the head.
I think it could be the gugwe or it could be the Ginosqua.
Yeah, the Ginosqua is another good candidate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, gugwe, the name gugwe itself is actually derived from the Micmac name Kukwe. And it's really weird. I was actually talking about this with somebody else the other day, is like, how did we ever bring the name gugwe to a Bigfoot-like creature when the Kukwe in the Micmac tribe were said to be smaller entities? They were smaller in size and they were more human-like. So I was always kind of confused as to how Kukwe and Gugwe became the same thing.
Well, they may be similar, but it may just be a derivation of the word.
Could be,
because they might have had similar behaviors or similar cranial structures. Because the gugwe are kind of unique because they're like the mandrill version of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
If Bigfoot is an upright primate, gugwe are more like upright mandrills or baboons. Like the beast of seven shoots.
That's true. That's a good point.
And if you look at the behavior of mandrills in the wild, they are far more aggressive than most other primates.
Oh yes, they will come at you for sure.
So what if the population of gugwe are just relic megafauna baboons? Because
I've actually put thought into that. Yeah, I was talking
during the
about
megafauna days, there were baboons that were just massive.
Yeah. I mean, just like there were hyenas that were massive back in the day, and that could very well explain the Dogman that I saw, the Type 2. So something to look at right there.
Let me bring up that graphic real quick. You said you saw a Type 2, the Canine Variant 2?
Yep.
The one I saw in LBL looked more like the Variant 3.
Okay. So you saw more of the Van Helsing type.
Yeah. It had the wolf-like head and a very human body, but again, I don't know if I saw a tail. It moved so quickly, and I was so focused on the head that I don't. Again, I can't say for sure if it had a tail. I think it had digitigrade legs from the way it kind of moved, kind of at that kind of odd gait to it. But it was still fast. It was incredibly fast. But I'm looking at, I've played it over in my head, dozens of times, and I can't just, I don't focus on the detail. Maybe if I, had a hypnosis, maybe I could recall the details. But
have you tried drawing it? Try drawing it, DA. If you just sit there and start drawing that, maybe more details will come back to you. Because I know with my sketch, what I saw. Well, you know what, though? You don't have to be like Picasso, dude. You can just do a quick doodle to try to convey what you saw. I mean, when I was sketching out what I saw, more details were coming to mind.
Yeah. Well, I might try that. Well, I don't, Nick Valente, he was with me when I saw it, and he saw it too, but I saw it for just a second longer than he did. And, the weird thing was, and people always say, why didn't you get video? I had my phone up in my hand, and I had the camera open. I was ready to start filming, but as soon as I saw it, I never once thought of that camera. And it's not like I had a lot of time. I mean, I only had a few seconds.
So you kind of had the perfect, play out for people that say, how come when you see a cryptid, you don't take the picture? So you could tell everybody, because I wasn't even thinking about my camera. That's why.
Yeah, it was such a mind-blowing moment. The
Mhm.
camera never even entered in my head. I was like, "What the hell is that?" And
Mhm.
it had because Nick and I went out to the tree. I saw it behind. It was kind of leaning out from the tree, watching us, and it had to be in the 7 foot range. It wasn't massive like some of the some of the stories of the 8, 9, 10 feet tall.
Yeah,
This one was
that's
this one
funny
was
because the Dogman I saw wasn't huge either.
This was probably the 6.5 to 7 foot range, but and it was built lean. It wasn't
Mhm.
built like a linebacker. It was fairly lean, and
Like a basketball player.
yeah, it was completely black,
Mhm.
and it was setting completely still. But like you and I were talking before the show, I grew up deer hunting. I look for patterns. I look for things that are out of the
Right.
ordinary. And when I first glanced over it, I didn't see it. But my brain's like, wait a minute, something's there. And I turned back and looked at it. And when it realized I was looking at it, I'm at that point, I'm hitting Nick in the arm. I'm like, over there. And of course, we were in the vehicle, and he's instantly slammed on the brakes and looked over, and that's when he saw it. Uh,
Wow.
but once it realized I was looking at it, it like spun and went straight for a ravine that was about 30 yards away from it, and it hit that ravine so fast.
Wow.
And
That's
so,
intense.
so we jumped out of his SUV, and we headed
Mhm.
over there. And the leaf litter was probably 8 inches thick on the ground, and you could see the impressions where it had disturbed the leaves and where something had been, but it was too thick to find any kind of print.
So it
And
kinda knew what it was doing then. It knew what path to take so you couldn't follow
right.
it.
And
Smart.
it went down into a ravine, and we were looking down in that ravine. We're like, well, we don't have belaying equipment or ropes. I ain't going down there.
Mhm.
And I knew there was no way I was going to catch it.
Very nice. That's kinda cool. That's a cool encounter though.
And it was like I said, the Type 3. They definitely had the wolf like head, but at the same time, well, when you look at canine, any dog or any wolf, you look at it, it's definitely got well, wolves especially have a narrower snout.
Yes.
This one was thicker in the head,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. Like the
Yeah,
snout wasn't narrow like a wolf; it was
yeah,
broader.
no, that makes total sense, yeah.
And the ears were up, kind of like a German Shepherd's ears. But as
Mhm.
soon as it realized, and I couldn't see the eyes, I did not see its eyes at all.
Hmm.
But as soon as it realized I was looking at it, it was gone, and it was moving fast.
So was it, like, closing its eyes or something so you couldn't see its eyes,
I,
or
it was in a shaded area, so I don't think I could really see a great deal of features. But as it turned, I got that profile of the snout. I, you know,
okay.
I I distinctively saw the shape of the head. Nick saw it as well.
So then
We we
there was no glowing eyes, though, because some people will
No, I
say they
didn't see
see
any glowing
internally
eyes.
glowing eyes. Okay,
Well, it was also broad daylight.
okay. Well, yeah, I mean, some people have said that they see glowing eyes even during the day, so that's interesting.
I honestly couldn't tell you what the eyes looked like,
Okay, that's cool, because it's kinda similar to what I saw too, there was no glowing eyes.
but it was phenomenally fast. It
Mhm,
covered,
yes.
like I said, from the tree to where the ravine started dropping was 30, maybe 35 yards, and it
Mhm.
covered that in just a couple of seconds. Just gone.
Wow. Man, these things are always so quick, aren't they?
Oh yeah, there's no way I was catching it.
Mhm.
Even when I was
Yeah.
in the military and running every day, there's no way I would have caught it.
Yeah, see, it's like Tony said, most encounters will last mere seconds. He's right. Ultimately, he's right. Yeah.
Nathaniel De Leon Vallejo says, "Are there any known turtle cryptids?" Very curious.
Yeah, I forgot the name of it. Ashley, there's that lake monster that's a turtle. Which one is that?
I know which one you're talking about, but I can't think of the name of it either.
Yeah, she's in chat, so she's smart as a whip. She'll know this one.
Yeah, if she knows the name of that, that's
It's
something
like
we.
it's a snapping turtle, I think. It's like a giant snapping turtle like cryptid. It's not a snapping turtle per se. It looks like one though. There it is, the Beast of Busco. See, I told
Oh,
you.
there we go.
I
I
told
knew.
you.
Yeah, as soon as she said it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember reading about that, but
Thank you,
for the life
Ashley.
of me, I couldn't think of it.
Yeah, there's a turtle in Japanese folklore. Yes, there is. Yep.
Hmm. There's a lot of really strange creatures in Japanese folklore.
Oh, yeah, I've always liked the Tengu.
Hmm.
Those are really interesting. Yeah, see, she
Northwoods
knows.
Cryptid says during those encounters, mere seconds can seem like minutes. Yeah,
Yes.
I've replayed that, and it had to have been no more than 4 to 5 seconds, maybe as much as 8 seconds. But it was just seconds, and it was. I panned past it, then looked back and saw it hit Nick, and he slammed on the brakes and looked, and it spun and was gone. So
Yep.
it was just a few seconds that we really got a good look at it. But what stands out to me is the shape of the head, the
Hmm.
fact that it was like absolute like shadow black, and it was
Wow.
fast.
Hmm. So it was built like a basketball player too, you said, huh?
Yeah, it was thin. It not like skinny thin, but like I think the word I'm looking for is lithe.
Right. Yes. Or so it's a lot like mine was then, because I'm always interested. Ash and I were talking about this, how everybody describes these big buff Arnold Schwarzenegger like dogman creatures, whereas mine was very lithe, and so was yours. That's exciting
Yeah,
to know. 'Cause it's like,
it wasn't a massive creature like I do. And when I went to LBL, I was expecting to see one of the ones that was like Van Helsing, like huge. And that's not what I saw. Although I did hear something following me when I was at Nickel Cemetery, and like an idiot, I was there by myself. My wife tells me I'm a moron for going into LBL by myself, and I did quite a bit, day and night.
Mhm.
And then I was there for like a day and a half before Nick got there. Nick got there after I did, and then him and I were going in the dark and daylight and walking and checking stuff out.
I got to get down there someday to start doing some crazy stuff like that.
It is really, really an interesting place.
Oh, I bet.
One of the things I noticed about it is one of the oddest things is like along the road going to LBL, we would see like deer in the fields. We would see dead animals, roadkill. Even in the town across from it, Grand Rivers, where we stayed, in one of the campgrounds, there were deer walking around. In the resort where we stayed, there were deer walking around. There was animals. There was raccoons. You saw everything. I crossed over the river, not the river, the canal. Went over the bridge into LBL. Nothing. Didn't see roadkill. Didn't see animals. Nothing. I'm not saying they weren't there. They were just staying well hid. There was nothing out where you could see it.
They're hiding for a reason. So
yeah, I didn't so much as see like a squirrel.
Mm-hmm.
The whole time I was in North LBL. In 4 days, I didn't see one animal, and that is really bizarre for going out in the woods. I'm used to the woods here in Missouri. You go out in the woods, you're going to see squirrels and possums and raccoons. You can see all kinds of wildlife. In North LBL, I didn't see a single animal in 4 days.
That's interesting. I wonder. Yeah, I definitely got to get out there someday soon. Look around and see what's going on out there.
The funny thing about the north end of LBL is when I first went into LBL, I was expecting this like overwhelming feeling to like hit me, and it didn't. So at first I was like, okay, this isn't as bad as everybody made it out to be. But I drove around the first day we got there kind of late in the afternoon, and I kind of drove around the north end of LBL a little bit. My wife actually went with me on this one because we were just driving. And I located the cemetery, and I located the ranger station. I located some of the landmarks that I was going to be using to go deeper into the area. So I'm just driving around and didn't really notice anything. But the funny thing is when we went back, that's when I noticed it. It wasn't like a overwhelming sudden feeling of oppression when you go in. It's just you noticed the change when you left. Like suddenly I feel better. And it didn't really hit me all at once when we went in. It was just one of those like feelings of dread that builds up.
Ooh.
And I didn't even notice it until we went back across the canal, and it was suddenly gone. And I was like, okay, that's
you felt
weird.
better, huh?
Yeah, I felt suddenly better.
That's cool.
And every time I went over there and came back across the canal, I felt that.
Wow. So there's just something about that place, though.
Yeah, it's something very unique about that place.
Do you think maybe it's like the prior knowledge that you had about that place that kind of set you on edge, or do you think it's the place in general?
I think part of it was that. And I think another part of it was some of the reactions when I tried to talk to people about it. In Grand Rivers, right across from where the incident happened. In fact, I got thrown out of a store for bringing it up. I went into a bait shop and tried to talk to a guy about it, and he told me to get out of his store. I talked to a deputy sheriff. I identified myself as a retired Leo.
Okay.
And he said, my best advice to you is drop it. I'm like, but I'm researching this for a book. He said, if I were you, I'd just drop it. And he wouldn't talk about it anymore. He just walked off.
Wow.
Really weird. But the funny thing is we'd booked a cabin in this resort for 3 nights. And when we went to check out, I told my wife, I said, I'd really like to stay another day. She goes, well, we can't stay here because the cabin's booked, but I can see about getting us a hotel. Well, the closest hotel she could get us was in Paducah, Kentucky, which is about 10, 15 miles away, not very far away from the north end of LBL.
Okay.
So we went to Paducah, checked into the hotel, and I went back. and that's did some more. I went with Nick back into LBL, but while we were in Paducah, we ate at a barbecue place, and I happened to mention that's why something I was looking for, and not only at the barbecue place but at the hotel, I had people voluntarily telling me their stories. People that were saying,
Wow.
hey, this, that's real. I've seen it. There was one guy who was telling me that he was fishing on the Kentucky lakeside, and he was
Hmm.
trolling using a trolling motor fishing, and he moved back into a cove and saw one on the lake shore. And when it saw him, it dove in the water and started coming for his boat. And I said, "What'd you do?" He goes, "I
Whoa.
fired up the big motor and I got the hell out of there."
Yeah, I can
But
see why. Yeah.
well, in Paducah, I talked to quite a few guys that had sightings from the shore, from a
Hmm.
boat.
That's not surprising. That's really not.
Pat Murphy says, "Do you have Gugway in the Ozarks?" Um, I've heard stories where they described a Bigfoot type creature with a snout,
Hmm.
but I have not. None of the things I've encountered, the things in my research area would indicate something that dangerous. Because if
Or
there
so
was
you
Gugway,
hope.
there'd be a lot more missing people, I would think.
Yeah. So you hope.
Yeah,
DA's
so I
keeping his
hope.
fingers crossed. Like, I
Yeah,
hope they're not here.
yeah, definitely not. But my first book, my first of the book of the Lakeview Man series, that's what I used as the creature. It was a Gugway.
Nice. Very nice. That's awesome. I gotta start reading up more on your books, man.
Mark
Very
Fitzgerald
soon.
says we have hellbenders in the Ozarks. I've actually caught one of those before. And you know what a hellbender is?
No.
It's a species of salamander that's unique to the Ozarks. They're really weird looking. They're like black and slimy, and some of them get huge. I mean, like 2-3 feet long. It's just a
Nice. I want to
species
see
of
one.
Ozark salamander called the hellbender.
I want to see one now. I'm gonna go find one.
And they're neat. They are neat to look at. Really, Google them
Well,
sometime. They're a pretty weird looking creature.
oh yeah. All right, DA. Well, I gotta go. I've got a mom to check on.
All
So
right, brother. Well, I appreciate you joining me, man. I
hey, thanks
really
for having me on again.
had a great time. And like I said, you are welcome anytime you want to join us, brother.
Awesome. I will see everybody next time then. And everybody in chat, enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you guys soon.
Hey, we need a plan to do a Wendigo show.
Yes, definitely. Message me on that. We will set that up,
Okay,
DA.
we'll set that up, brother. All right, you
All
be
right,
safe.
all right,
Be
take it easy,
safe,
bro.
man.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Have a good night.
You too.
Ryan, thank you, brother, for being here. Hope you guys are enjoying the show tonight. I know I'm certainly having a good time. Trying to catch up on some of these messages. Kind of got a little bit behind. Um, okay. One of the things I did want to talk about is if you guys haven't heard about it already, there is a Dogman Conference going to be, and the location says TBD, to be determined here, but it's going to be in Paris, Tennessee, and it's August 13th of this year. Tickets are still on sale for the event. Let me get the link. I know I've got the link somewhere. Let me grab the link and I'll get that posted in there if any of you guys are interested. I'm going to be one of the speakers there, along with like Barton Nunnally, and there's a bunch of big names. Ken Gerhard's going to be there. Josh Turner from Paranormal Roundtable is going to be there. There's a lot of people going to be there for this. So if you get a chance to go, I think you're really going to have a good time with it. Let me grab the link here and I'll post it. I'll be there with books. I will also be doing a presentation on Dogman. There's going to be a lot of folks that are there. There's let's see, Ken Gerhard, obviously, Josh Turner, Ron Murphy, Nick Redfern, Bettina Moss, Steve Stockton, Barton Nunnally, Nick Valente, Jody Cook, Tony Merkel, Jay Vault Tucker, Kenny Irish, Elijah Henderson, David Weatherly, Tim Coonbo Baker, and myself. And there might even be others. So if you guys are interested at all in attending, probably ought to get your tickets now while you can, because they are moving pretty fast. They had special VIP tickets for a meet and greet with all of the names that I'd listed, but those sold out in an hour. So there's a capacity of 400 for this convention center, so that's all the tickets they can sell because of the fire code. So the cap of tickets is at 400. And if you're wanting to get a ticket, I would suggest getting them quick because they are going pretty fast. hopefully you guys, if you're interested in meeting some of those guys, or coming and meeting me, I will be there. I will have a bunch of books on my table, and hopefully you can hang out and chat with everybody. And I think it's going to be a great time. And it's supposedly the first of a now annual show. So hopefully they'll be doing that. If this is as successful as they're hoping, that we'll be seeing that doing more often. Oh, cool. West Coast Dogman Project says, great show, DA. Just bought 2 NADP Region 2 shirts and Apex Predator Wolf Moon. Can't wait to read it. Dude, that's awesome. I can't wait to hear what you think. Let me know. While I do write cryptid fiction, I have spent the last 30 years of my life, 40 years, digging into cryptids. Primarily Bigfoot, but probably in the last 20 years, I've been really digging into Dogman a lot as well. And I've based the behaviors of the creatures in my books on encounter stories that I've taken from people and read online or read in books. So while my books are fiction, I do base the behaviors of the creatures on cryptid stories, on cryptid attacks, on things like that. So I've done my homework. I've done a lot of research on these creatures to try to make the behaviors in the books as realistic as I possibly can. So definitely, if you're going to read Apex Predator Wolf Moon, I would love to hear what you think of it, man. Definitely hit me up, and maybe we can get you on the show. I would like to do that as well. Let me see. There was something else I was going to say. Also, if you guys are going to be going out in the woods doing any kind of research, be that cryptid research, or if you're just hiking or camping, remember to take some sort of med kit. A first aid kit can be the difference between life and death, because if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you have no cell reception, you are 911. So I would definitely take some sort of med kit. And the med kits I can't recommend any more than possible. I mean, these are the best kits I've ever used, are the kits that Carrie Davis over at Dark Angel Medical makes. And Dark Angel Medical, if you go to darkangelmedical.com and use discount code Cryptid25, that's just for viewers of the show, Cryptid25 will get you 25% off your order. So go by darkangelmedical.com and check out their kits. And if you're going to be spending any time in the woods, I would definitely recommend having some sort of med kit, because you never know. Again, the life you save could be your own or somebody you care about. John Doe says they are ebooks. Yeah, all of the books are available in hardcover, in paperback, and in ebook. And I have several, actually, I think 4 out right now in audio. We're working on getting more out. Cam Buckner from Dixie Cryptids is doing the audio for the Codename Wild Hunt series, and he's probably going to be doing the Apex Predator series, and I know he wants to do the Ragnarok Rising series as well. So that's enough books to keep Cam going for a while. And we're Sal Passos, who's a regular in the chat. Sal has been doing my sci-fi series. He's doing a great job on those. And looking at possibly having Carrie Pocket Doc Davis take over the Nightmare Hunter series, and maybe Lakeview Man. So we've got the narrators lined up, just getting everybody set up and having the time. And unfortunately, audiobooks are a slow process. Even all the time for them to do the narrations and to go back and fix edits and things like that. It still has to meet a certain audio quality criteria to be accepted by ACX. And then once it's done, it still takes about a month for Amazon to approve it before it even goes up for sale. So unfortunately, the audiobooks are a fairly slow process. John Doe says, speaking of realism, are there any topics regarding historical or material subjects that anyone is interested in me making a write-up for on Discord? Let me think. I may have some stuff. See if you can pull some research, because I'm going to be doing some stuff for a future book. Lene says, audiobooks are my favorite. Hopefully we'll have more of those out very soon. Mark Fitzgerald says, you recommend an order to read the books. Yeah, actually on my website, which is daroberts.net, I'm going to get the link right now. There is a timeline on there that tells you exactly what order the books make the most sense in. Now you can read these books out of sequence, and they will stand alone, but you will get a lot more of a much bigger picture if you read them in sequence, because the characters overlap in a lot of the different series, and sometimes details of these characters' histories are revealed in series they're not even the main characters in. Like, for example, the character of Gideon. Some of his backstory was revealed in the 4th book of the Apex Predator series. So, yeah, you to get the big picture, you'll find that all the books are actually interconnected. William Nighthawk's in the house. Hey, brother. Hope you're doing well. John Doe says, what about the Wexford County Dogman attacks? Yeah, definitely check those out. Those are interesting stories. That's what we kind of hinted on earlier. I do want to do a show on that, but I'm waiting for some details. I've got some information I'm going to be getting in the next few days, and then we'll probably plan a show on those Wexford attacks, because there's a lot more going on than they've publicly admitted. See if I missed any questions. I think I'm caught up. I'm not used to carrying the show on my own. Kind of bear with me here. I really appreciate you guys joining us. I mean, it's always a good time, and anytime we've got Ryan on the show, it's always a hoot. His knowledge of the Gugway is really second to none. He's spot on when it comes to the Gugway, but he's a great researcher. He's got a lot of great information to share, and I love having him on. So hopefully we'll have him on more here in the near future. Northwood says you need to get up here to see things for yourself. Yeah, you're up in Michigan, I believe it is. I think so anyway. I would definitely like to get up that way. There's a lot of places I'm wanting to get to. Yeah, one of the places I'm wanting to go is Taylor, Mississippi, where the Dogman siege of Lockett Ranch happened. I am going to be going back to LBL. In fact, when we do the conference in August of this year, August 13th, it's right outside of LBL. That's the reason Paris, Tennessee, was chosen as the location for the conference, because it's literally like 20 miles from LBL. So my plan is, if at all possible, I'm going to get back into LBL for at least a day to try to do some research. And I know a bunch of the guys that are going to be at the conference are talking about going, so it may end up be a bunch of us going together. 1980 CNH says, hey, D, have you thought about doing the siege of Lockett Ranch in North Mississippi? We've talked about that on the show a few times. I'm planning on doing a show just completely about that. But I also want to get down to Taylor, Mississippi, and do a lot of filming. I want to actually go in that area and do some research myself. Owissa Khan says, question, are there any three-toed sloth-like cryptids? The Honey Island swamp monster is reported to have 3 toes. A number of the tracks found of the skunk ape in Florida have reputedly had 3 toes. And I believe it was in South Carolina, there was a lizard-like creature spotted that had 3 toes. But those are the only ones that pop into mind right off the top of my head. John Doe says, not especially 3-toed, but there are reports of living giant ground sloths in certain regions. Yeah, in South America, there was reported to be a ground sloth that was bipedal, a cryptid giant sloth. Nathaniel DeLeon Vallejo says, raptors have 3 toes. Very true. That's another thing I hope I don't run into. 1980 CNH says, I'm from Mississippi, and Taylor is a dangerous place to go, brother. Well, I definitely want to go, but I'm probably not going alone. I'm gonna try to round up a few folks to go make that happen. I hear that even to this day there are strange animal attacks and all kinds of weird crap happening in and around Taylor. So that's one of the places I'm definitely gonna go. For my wife's birthday, I took her to Durant, Oklahoma, to the Choctaw Casino down there, and it's not far from Brown Springs. And my plan was, while we were there, to take an afternoon and let her just have fun at the casino while I went over to Brown Springs. And I'm not generally afraid to go into places like that by myself. I can usually handle my own. But the problem was they'd had so much rain down there. The area was pretty well flooded, and I was afraid if I got into Brown Springs, I probably wouldn't get back out. I was afraid it was just massively over flooded. So that's going to have to be for another trip on another day. But had it not been raining so much in that area, I would have gotten down into Brown Springs and gotten some film. William Nighthawk says, I've been going through my rough video from my last outing, taking my time and going over it the right way. We'll let you know when I'm done. Yeah, I'd love to see the video, dude. Mark Fitzgerald says, I hear of Taylor being crazy after dark. One of the stories I heard out of Taylor was, it wasn't actually in Taylor itself. It was just down the road from it. It was a over-the-road trucker who had reached the end of his daily log of hours for the day. He pulled over on an off-ramp and was going to sleep for the night. And as he was getting back into the sleeper on his truck, he heard something scrape the side of the trailer. So he crawled back up into the cab and was looking around, like looking in the mirrors, and said he felt like something was looking at him. And he stopped looking at the mirrors and looked out the passenger side and saw this thing he described as a Dogman, like a canine type 3. He said it was massive, had the head of a wolf, and it was staring right at him, and it was trying the door handle. And he said he was pretty sure it was standing on the ground and looking him in through the window. And I don't know if you guys know much about tractor trailers or semis. That window is pretty high off the ground. You'd have to be in the 7 to 8 foot range to look in that window from the ground flat-footed. And he basically just dove behind the wheel, fired the truck up, and got out of there. And I don't blame him. I probably would have too. But I want to say that story happened in 2019, I believe it was. I'd have to check my notes, but I'm pretty sure it was 2019 or 2018. So that's fairly recent. And that happened just outside of Taylor. John Doe says ground sloth were pretty widely distributed historically and were potentially semi-carnivorous. Research is ongoing based on the isotopes in their teeth and similar things. It wouldn't surprise me. A lot of creatures were more carnivorous back in the day, especially in the days of megafauna. There's a video that Josh Jones just sent me earlier today of a deer eating a rabbit. And this is modern times. Somebody caught that on film. So under weird circumstances, even normally non-predatory animals can be really bizarre acting. And I think that kind of falls in with the show we did here just a few weeks ago on the not deer. While it looked like a normal deer, it is very unusual behavior for a deer to eat another animal. Northwood says, D, I just sent you an email. All right, I'll check that. I'll have to check that after the show. Tony Harris says, yes, OK was flooded bad this last week. Tried to go fishing up by Tahlequah, and the road was going to go down, was completely submerged. That's the way it was down near Durant. The water was just super waterlogged, and a lot of places were overflowing. And the highway we drove on going to Durant, I think it's Highway 69 from Muskogee all the way into Durant. Both sides of the road, we were constantly passing areas that were just completely marshed out. So southeast Oklahoma got hit hard with rain. And so I didn't have the opportunity to get into Brown Springs, but I do plan on going back down there. I know the wife wants to go back to the Choctaw Casino because she loves to gamble and I don't. So I'll probably agree to go with her just so I can go to Brown Springs. Nathaniel Dalen Vallejo says deer eat meat all the time. I've only seen video of deer eating like birds. I saw a deer eat a bird, and then of course the video that Josh sent me today of eating a rabbit. It's really bizarre to me. Alyssa says the 2 sloths I have seen were carrion eaters, but the one seemed like it was stalking me, so I assumed it was also hunters. Well, slow as they are, they would probably have to either surprise their prey or be capable of bursts of speed that we wouldn't expect from a sloth. John Doe says ground sloths will probably be incredibly unfriendly, as typical for large herbivores. Nathaniel DeLeon Vallejo says deer eat meat all the time. I would like to look more into that. But it is odd behavior for a deer, for any ungulate to eat meat. John Doe says the most dangerous things in Africa that aren't humans and diseases are Cape buffalo and hippos. Yeah, I knew a guy that went Cape buffalo hunting, and they told him, you better kill it the first time or we're in a lot of trouble. Just there and there, 66 is ducks eat their young. I've heard of that. I've also seen hamsters eat their young. If one of them passes away, they'll just eat it, which to me is just really bizarre, but I guess they are a type of predator. Alyssa says the sloth that seemed to be hunting was in the company of 2 outcast Bigfoot. Oh, Well, that makes a certain amount of sense. There are a lot of places that I intend to get to now that the weather is finally good. I do want to get back down to Durant, Oklahoma, and go down to Brown Springs. According to the maps, it was only like a 10-minute drive from the casino, so I was planning on spending the day at Brown Springs and then coming back to the hotel that night. So Brown Springs is on the agenda. I want to get to Taylor, Mississippi. I'm definitely going back to LBL. There are a lot of places, especially within a day's drive of where I live, that are great places to go. I want to go down where the siege at Hanabi happened in Hanabi, Oklahoma. I want to get down there in the Kiamichi and the Ouachita Mountains. There's a lot of places I want to get to and film video, but that's just going to be when I can have the time and the money to do it. So that's stuff that's in the future, but hopefully not in the distant future. Tony here says Seminole, Oklahoma got hit by tornadoes twice, one Monday, one Wednesday. Ouch! Hope there wasn't hope nobody was killed. We survived a few tornado strikes ourselves over the years. Midwest is a tornado alley, unfortunately. But if you guys have got any places that you would like me to check out and maybe shoot some video out, shoot me an email at daroberts@daroberts.net. If you've got any encounter stories of your own you'd like to share, again, send those to me at daroberts@daroberts.net. I will put up the contact again. And you can, it just popped up. My Nightbot must have been listening. But that's my email, or you can mail me at P.O. Box 4614, Springfield, Missouri, 65808. So there's multiple ways to get a hold of me. And again, if you want to remain confidential with your encounter story, that is perfectly fine. I've got a couple of encounter stories that were sent to me here recently that I'm still kind of combing through before I put them on the show. John Dos has posted a megatherium species of ground sloth skeleton pictured in the Discord. Awesome. I'm going to check that out here in a minute. Hey, that would be a good one, John. Yeah, to look into megafauna that were predatory. Maybe find megafauna records of the large baboons and things like that. Look for things that were definitely predatory from megafauna that could possibly still be surviving today. There's theories that maybe there are some places in the world where woolly mammoths still exist, so it's completely possible that some other megafauna may have survived. That's a pretty fascinating subject, because I think it's entirely possible that Bigfoot may be some sort of relic of megafauna. It's just a possible theory. Again, nobody knows for sure what it is until it's actually proven to science and we can catalog it and know what it is. We don't know for sure. So there's lots of theories out there. And again, theory is all we've got. So it's just one of the angles that I'd looked at of it possibly being some sort of megafauna. 1918 says, I told you about my encounter with a 9-foot-tall Bigfoot in Adams County, Mississippi. Yeah, definitely. Again, I've got a bunch of encounter stories I want to share on the show. If you guys have got encounters you would like me to share, you definitely send those over to my email, or you can write them out and mail them to me if you don't do email, which a lot of people don't. Tombstone says we have a bunch of predatory megafauna here in Australia. I think everything in Australia is trying to kill you one way or the other. You guys have the most dangerous snakes in the world. Like 5 out of the 10 most deadly snakes in the world are in Australia. Of course, then you've got saltwater crocodiles and everything else under the sun. And holy moly, I think everything in Australia wants to kill you, or at least thinks it can. Tony Harris says, I just arrived back in Arizona today since leaving at the beginning of March. So after some rest, I want to check out a few places local to me. Yeah, if you ever get out to the Mogollon Rim, take a lot of videos. There's a lot of encounter stories with the Mogollon monster out there. Mark Fitzgerald says, isn't that supposed to be 10 to 12,000 years ago? The megafauna range actually goes back even farther than that. 50 to 100,000 years ago, maybe even longer. But some of that stuff could have survived. In fact, there are stories out of Alaska where local tribesmen claim to have seen them within the last 100 years, which is really fascinating. It'd be awesome to find something like that alive. I think it would be shocking to the world to find a relic population of, woolly mammoth or woolly rhinoceros or even other megafauna. God knows. I mean, there are parts of North America we have not explored. Now, as much as we like to think we're masters of the world, there are still huge sections of wilderness in northern Canada, Alaska, even some parts of the states, up in the deep mountains of the Rockies or the Adirondacks. There are places that people just haven't been. Hell, and we've only explored maybe at best 20% of the ocean. There's 80 to 90% of the ocean out there that has remained completely unexplored. So there's plenty of mysteries on this planet left for us. And it's something that I think we're going to be discovering more species and more things that we thought didn't exist the more we explore. Doyle Thorne says, next book, I've ran out of Wild Hunt, Lakeview Man, and Nightmare Hunter. I'm currently on number 5 of Ragnarok. Apex Predator, the new Apex Predator, Apex 5, Apex Predator Dark Moon, I'm hoping to have done this week or next. Hoping to have it in edits soon. I'm about at the 50,000 word mark, kind of right in that ballpark. And that means I've only got 20,000 words left. Usually 70 to 75,000 is about where these books usually end up. So hopefully we'll have some release information coming up very soon, because I've got some really good editing software and a good editor. So I think we can get the edits turned around pretty fast. Pat Murphy says, have you heard of the movie docudrama Helltown? It sounds familiar. I don't know if I've watched it or not, but it definitely sounds familiar. John Doe says, for example, the reason pronghorns are so fast is due to them having been in an arms race with the American species of cheetah. Yeah, pronghorn sheep are very quick. Sorry, I was trying to catch up on some of the comments. Lene Perkins says, love the show tonight, but I got to get my old cowgirl bones worn out this evening. God bless everyone, and God bless. Hope you have a great night. Thank you for being here, Lene. Hope you have a great night and be safe and get plenty of rest. Pat Murphy says it's about Boston, Ohio, which no longer exists. I think I have seen that. I think that's, I believe I have seen that. About that abandoned town in Ohio. Yeah, I want to go back and watch that again, because I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was a really good documentary. John Doe says grizzly bears walked alongside the short-faced bear, and the California condor seem to have been specialized in feeding on the carcasses of megafauna now extinct. That could be why the California condor pretty much went extinct. Pat Murphy says it's about the Wendigo. Yes, I do remember seeing that. That is a really cool documentary. Again, don't know if it's true or not, but it certainly make you think, and it's a really cool story. I hope we have to watch that again tonight. I do need to get some more writing done. I'm trying to get Apex Predator Dark Moon done. I definitely want to have that book available for the conference in August, but I'm hoping to have it out, edited, cover and everything before my birthday, which is June 1st. I already showed this on the Patreon for those of you who are members of the Patreon, and I showed it. It's been a while ago, so it's had plenty of time to let the patrons see it. Let me bring up this image, and I will show it to everybody if I can find it. Hang on. I clicked the wrong thing. That's probably why. I clicked video clips. There we go. Since I've already showed this off on the Patreon for the Patreon subscribers, and that has been up for a little while now, I feel pretty comfortable showing it to y'all. So hope you guys like this. This is the concept cover art for the new Apex Predator book. Hope you guys like that. I'm pretty happy with it. Let me bring up the full cover one. You guys take a look at that. Let me know what you think. Oh, Cryptid Huntress. She says, DA, I remote viewed this Dogman Siege on Lockett Ranch today. I'll have a show on this Friday. Crazy stuff. Yeah, I've definitely got to check that out. That's a story I find very fascinating. Leave that up there long enough for you guys to read the back cover and see what you guys think. Yeah, I saw that you would, Jessica, I saw you announced that you were going to do the remote viewing on the Siege of Lockett Ranch. I've definitely got to check that out. That's going to be a great show. Hopefully you guys like the cover. So I'm getting some good feedback on the cover. Well, thank you very much. Glad you guys like it. My cover artist, Adam Shepard, did a very good job on that. I'm pretty happy with it. But hopefully I'll have that done in the next week, maybe 2 at the outside, but it's going pretty good. It's right at 50,000 words, which means it's gearing up for the big bad final fight. So yeah, I think we can reasonably say that was probably going to be done within the next 7 to 10 days, probably. She says, Jessica says, thank you. I'm looking forward to having you on my show next week on Spaced Out Radio. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. I think it's going to be an awesome time. If you guys are not members of the Patreon community, you can check that out over at patreon.com/DARobertsAuthor. And for those of you that are members of the Patreon community, the first chapter of the new book, Apex Predator Dark Moon, is up for the patrons to read. So I hope you guys will check that out. Again, it's the entire first chapter. If you spot any editing mistakes, it's because it's the rough draft. It's straight from the rough draft. It has not been edited yet. I don't edit the book until it's completely done. But the rough draft first chapter, the prelude, is up for the patrons. If you want to check that out over at patreon.com/DARobertsAuthor, you can check out that first chapter and other videos that have not been available publicly. I'm glad everybody likes the cover. I'm really pretty happy with it. Well, folks, I know we normally go about 2 hours, and we're coming up on that 2-hour mark. I'll go ahead and start winding things down. I have the gift of gab, as my wife says, but even I can run out of things to say. Tony Harris says, where can we watch the show, Jessica? If you go to YouTube and look up Spaced Out Radio, SOR, Spaced Out Radio. You can find Spaced Out Radio on YouTube. It's also you got a Facebook group. But look up Spaced Out Radio on YouTube, and you'll find the shows. And Jessica is the new weekend host for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, who does Monday through Friday. Dave's a great host. I've been on the show with Dave a few times. Just a great guy, has a great show. A lot of good content over there. If you guys are interested, check it out at Spaced Out Radio. John Doe says, I'll look into megafauna and potential connections to cryptids and the Wexford attacks. Awesome. Thank you, man. That'll be something to look forward to checking out on the YouTube. On the Discord. If you guys are not members of the Discord community, you can join the Discord community at this link, and it doesn't cost you anything. And it's just an area where we can hang out and have conversations very much like we're doing right now. We just continue it in the chat on Discord. So if you guys are interested, just head for that link over on Discord, and you can sign up and join just Discord for free. And if you got any questions for me, or you want to know anything about the books, I'm in and out of the Discord all the time. So if you got questions, just post them in the general chat over there, and I'll be happy to answer them. See if there's anything else. Oh, yeah, something I did want to tell everybody. If you guys are watching us on Facebook, if you're watching the show on Facebook, I may not see your comments. For some reason, Facebook does not work and play well with Restream. Sometimes I catch the comments, sometimes I don't, but Facebook doesn't seem to work and play well with Restream. So if you want to be part of the drawings that we have, and we'll be having some of those again here very soon, but if you want to be part of the drawings or be certain that your chat shows up, join us over on the YouTube channel. And that's, where's my link? There we go. If you're watching us on Facebook, just go over to youtube.com/DARobertsAuthor, like and subscribe to the show, and make sure you hit that little bell icon at the bottom so you get alerts anytime we go live. And definitely, if you guys have not subscribed to the channel, I would hope you would hit subscribe and like, or you can even join the channel. If you look at the bottom of the screen, right next to the subscribe button is a little button that says join. There's a couple of levels you can become part of the membership of the channel here. It helps the channel continue to be able to go places and do things. It helps us to continue to grow the channel. It also gives you access to exclusive videos that aren't anywhere else. So hopefully you guys will check that out. You can definitely join us over here on the YouTube channel if you're watching the show on Facebook, because when the giveaways are done, Nightbot only selects from the YouTube audience. Nightbot doesn't work and play well with Facebook either. So unfortunately, that's just the way it is. There's nothing we can do about it. We've tried. Just there and there, 66 says, good night, DA. Good show. Thanks. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you being here. Papa Craig C says, nice work, DA. Night, night. John Doe says, good night, Godspeed. Good night, everybody. Really appreciate you guys being here. You guys are fantastic. I love hanging out with you guys. It's like having conversations with just old friends. I mean, it's something I've always enjoyed about the channel. Something I hope to always continue. I don't ever want to get to a point where it seems like work, because to me, this is just fun. It's hanging out with friends. It's having a good time. And if you guys don't mind, make sure you share the videos. Make sure you share the videos on social media, because it helps the channel grow. And I would like to see the channel start reaching a much bigger audience. We're at about 2,400 right now, maybe a little less than 2,400. Channel's just over a year old. So we're still a young channel. We're still growing, but I would appreciate your help. Like, share the videos, share the channel, let everybody know that enjoys this kind of content, to make sure they like and subscribe and come over and check it out. And I would sure appreciate that very much. I appreciate everything everybody's done to help the channel get where it is. Like I said, we've experienced some tremendous growth in just a year. Our next episode is going to be our 100th episode. This was episode number 99. I am going to be off. We're not going to have a show this coming Saturday or the following Wednesday. I'm going to be out of town again. Unfortunately, May, June, and July are very hectic months for my family, because all of our anniversaries, birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, they all fall in May, June, and July. So pretty much for my family, all of our birthdays and everything, even my anniversary with my wife, it all happens right there in the span of like a month and a half, 2 months. So we're going to be missing a couple of shows. But our next show will be our 100th episode, and that will be a week from Saturday. And we'll have Doug Highcheck back, and we may have a few other people pop in and out to say howdy and to be part of the 100th episode. So hopefully we'll have all that show posted here very soon, and you guys can check it out. But I'm pretty excited that it's going to be our 100th episode, and I really appreciate you guys. It's because of you that we've made it this far, and I want to continue to see this channel grow and take off. Toothaking says, DA, ever consider translating your books into different languages? I would love to see that happen, but I don't know how I would get that done. I'm not with a big publisher. Most big publishing houses would take care of that for authors. Since I'm primarily doing it on my own, I don't know how I would go about doing that. But it's something I would like to look into. I know we do pretty good sales in Amazon Europe, the UK, Australia. Our sales have been getting stronger there. So want to keep hoping the books continue to grow and take off, because that is something that I really want to see continue to flourish, because it's not just because I enjoy the writing, but it's something I want to be able to leave as a legacy for my kids. I want to continue to write books and see them expand and get out there more. And it's with the help of folks like y'all that it's gone as far as it has. And I'm just amazed and humbled that a poor farm kid from rural Missouri could have books and a show like this that have reached so many people. And it's just amazing and humbling. And I'm very grateful that you guys have been with us on this journey, because stories, be they Bigfoot stories or stories that I've written in my books, stories are journeys that we take together. And I thank each and every one of you for taking that journey with me. It's been amazing. And my first book was published 10 years ago this year. The first week of July will be 10 years ago since my first book was published. And these last 10 years have been an incredible journey. A lot of change, a lot has changed. I've added a lot of books over the years. I'm getting ready to release my 26th book, which to me is just amazing. Apex Predator Dark Moon will be book number 26 for me, which I'm super excited about. And I want to continue to add to that library and keep growing the library and the stable of books. I've got a lot more stories to tell, and I'm not planning on stopping anytime soon. One of my favorite writers is Cormac McCarthy, who wrote No Country for Old Men and The Road, and some other books like that. Cormac's a great writer, fantastically talented man, and he's in his 90s now and still cranking books out. So that's what I want to do. I want to be like Cormac. I want to be, some 90-year-old dude still cranking out creepy stories. So that's something I hope to be able to do for a good long time, because I'm a long way from 90. Doyle Thorne says, you're understating the impact of reading the books in order. It's amazing how much larger the total experience opens up. I reread them in order and got so much more out of them. Thank you. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I've always been a fan of some of the great storytellers. J.R.R. Tolkien, Louis L'Amour is a fantastic storyteller. Again, Cormac McCarthy. There's just so many authors out there that I've read that I was just inspired by and who told such big stories. But Tolkien, when I read The Lord of the Rings, I realized it wasn't 3 books. It's actually, if you look at the books, they're broken down into 2 books apiece. So it's really 6 smaller books published as a trilogy. But it's really not 6 independent stories. It is one gigantic epic story. And that's what I'm wanting to do. All these books tie in together. They're part of one gigantic universe. And I'm really expanding it. I'm adding details to it all the time. And I want to keep growing this. I want all of the books to be an experience. I want everybody to read the books and see the character development and see where the plots are all heading for one particular direction, and where things are happening and there's a reason for it. And I want to tell a much larger, all-encompassing story. And that's something I hope that I'm accomplishing. I'm really happy with the way the books have gone over the years, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see where it takes me next, because in 10 years we've come a long way. With y'all's help and the help of my family, we've come a long way in 10 years. And I don't know where we're going to be in 10 years, but I'm eager to be part of the ride. I think it's going to be a good one. Oasis Constance, Arthur Conan Doyle, Rudyard Kipling. Yeah, those are both series books I've read. In fact, I've got a complete collection of Arthur Conan Doyle over on my shelf. I could probably reach it if I tried, but I'm not going to grab it. Sun Tzu. I read Sun Tzu's Art of War. And I've got, right here in easy reach, I've got a couple of really good books. I've got volume 2 of Barton Donnelly's Mysterious Kentucky. The first volume's in by my recliner. Then I've got Dr. Jeff Meldrum's Sasquatch Legend Meets Science. I mean, I'm always reading something. And, sometimes it's fiction, sometimes it's not. I have a really odd variety of reading, just pretty much the same way I do with my music tastes. One day I might be listening to, I don't know, Rachmaninoff's Cello Sonata in G minor, and the next day I'm listening to Sabaton. I mean, you just don't know what my musical tastes are going to go to. 1980 CNH says, I have a question. Where does the Norse guy from the last Lakeview Man book come in, and what book can I see more of him? Wiley Grant. Wiley Grant is the main character of the Ragnarok Rising series. Him and a couple other characters. Wiley Grant and the character that I called Gunny are both very present in the Ragnarok Rising series. So if you like Wiley, read the Ragnarok Rising books. You'll get to know Wiley a lot more. So hopefully you'll definitely check those out. That was my first book in print, was the Ragnarok Rising series. I started that series started the book in late 2010. Finished it sometime in 2011, started shopping it for publishers, and finally got it published sometime in mid 2012. Actually, the first week of July is when it actually hit print. but I've learned a lot of lessons over the years. It took me over a year to write that first book. And I tell a lot of people what I learned with writing that first book was how to not write a book, because I had to go back and make so many edits and fix so many things. But I've really studied my craft. I've worked really hard on the books over the last decade, and I've learned a lot. And I'm constantly learning. I mean, you learn as a writer. You learn by studying the craft. You study books on how to writing. You study other authors, how they do things. So I've pretty much nailed my style down. I know what my style is. I know how I want to write. I know how I want to tell stories. But it's still an evolving process. I try to make each book better than the last. I don't try to be better than anyone out there. The only person I'm trying to be better than is me yesterday. I just want to be better than myself, and hopefully keep improving the books and adding more to the library. Bill Sloan says Wiley is a hoot. Love his character and his story as well. Thank you, Pat. She says awesome cover. Appreciate that. 1918, he says, thanks, about to get those next. I think you'll really enjoy the Ragnarok books. Those are pretty popular. Cam Buckner loves the Ragnarok books. Last time him and I talked, he was pretty excited because he was reading that series. There's a lot more stories I want to tell. I don't see me stopping anytime soon, barring something earth-shattering. I hope to continue to write as long as I have the mental faculties and as long as I live. What's this is, figured out why the Yaren here sang back in the Mongolian throat song. It was after I stood my ground against the attack last year. Oh, what? That's bizarre. That's really interesting. I'd like to hear more about that. But yeah, there's Doug Hychek and I talked about that the last time he was on the show, about the connection between possible Bigfoot encounters and Mongolian throat singing, and even Scandinavian culling. Having some sort of possible connection, because he said culling was very similar to the sound he heard up on Snellgrove Lake in Canada. So, we'll talk to Doug more about that when we have him on for the 100th show. Toothaking says, my Ragnarok series set just arrived. I'm saving them for the next month's vacation. Can't wait. I can't wait to hear what you think, man. I really love to hear what you think. And if you guys pick up the books, please do me a favor. I know there are a lot of reviews on some of these books, but leave a review on Amazon. Even if it's just however many stars you feel it was worth, and good book, good story, whatever, just a short review. Doesn't have to be anything huge, or you can leave a longer review if you like. But Amazon's algorithm helps market the books based on the number of reviews. So the more reviews you have, the more Amazon actually presents your books to other audiences. So every review helps. Until you've hit 100 reviews on a book, the Amazon doesn't even put it into the algorithm. So the more reviews you have, the better marketing your book is going to hit. So if you guys do read any of the books, I would really deeply appreciate you guys go by Amazon and leave a review, and I definitely appreciate that. Thank you guys in advance. Thank you so much. 1980 CN8 says 5 stars for every book I've read from you. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Hopefully I can continue that trend in the future. I want to keep giving that level of expectation from the books, because I love storytelling. It's something I've always loved as a kid. My mother was a writer and a reader, and she instilled in me a love of the printed word at a very young age. And that's something I tried to instill in my sons to a lesser extent. With the advent of the video game age and the internet, they didn't spend nearly much time as I did growing up with my nose in a book. I grew up on a farm, and our TV picked up like 2 channels, 3 on a good day. So I spent more time reading books than I did ever watching TV. And it's something I still enjoy. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's how we keep our minds young, because your mind is like any other muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it'll be. And I read, I write, and I hope that hopefully that's something I will always be able to do. I can't imagine a world without the printed word. It's just, without stories, what do we have? Our stories are the glue that binds us together. From the earliest days of cavemen sitting around the fire, somebody started telling a story about the dinosaur that got away, or the woolly mammoth that they almost killed. And stories evolved from there, from just the spoken word to eventually the printed word. And now, audiobooks are full circle back to the spoken word. But stories are the glue that binds us together as a people. And it's those shared stories, those shared experiences that really really kind of create the human condition, because we love stories. And in my case, I love scary stories. I love horror stories. And it's something that I enjoy sharing with everybody. But I am branching out. I'm writing not only a fantasy novel, but I've got sci-fi novels out. I don't want to be just a horror writer. I just want to be known as a writer. And it's something I'm very passionate about and hope to always be. But again, I got off on another tangent. I was starting to wrap the show up 15 minutes ago, and it's what we refer to as an Ozarks goodbye. My mother was the same way. We'd go to visit somebody, and she'd say, well, we got to get home. And she'd get her coat and stop at the door and talk for another 30 minutes. And then we'd go out on the porch and talk for another 30 minutes and stop at the car and talk for another 30 minutes. It's just kind of an Ozarks goodbye. Dim Bone says, good show tonight. I'm Pocket Doc's brother, and even when he's not on, I enjoy watching. I'm glad you like his kit. Yeah, Dark Angel's best kits in the business, folks. I'll put that up again. If Carrie, if you're out there, love you, brother. But Dark Angel Medical has the best med kits in the business. If you're going to be spending time hiking, camping, hunting, fishing, whatever you do, if you're going to be away from immediate emergency services, take a med kit. Keep one in your car. And from pound for pound, the best med kits in the business are Dark Angel med kits. If you go to darkangelmedical.com, you use discount code Cryptid25, you get 25% off your entire order. And that's something that Doc set up just for us here at the show. So hopefully you guys will go check him out and show him some love and let him know we sent you. Again, almost done with Apex Predator Dark Moon. I'm glad you guys liked the cover. And if you're a member of the Patreon community, you can read the first chapter as it's up already. And hopefully I'll have release information for you very soon. I'm going to be working on it more tonight. Hopefully I can have it finished and in edits with any luck within the next 7 to 10 days, maybe less. I'm not going to make any promises, but I am going to try to get it done as fast as I possibly can. I have a lot of other stories to tell and to get to. So again, folks, thank you guys for being with me tonight. Ryan, brother, thank you for being here. We're definitely going to have him back in the very near future. Want to do a show on the a show on the Wendigo with Ryan. So we'll definitely be having him back. West Coast Dogman, get a hold of me. I would love to talk to you about getting you on the show, or maybe do a collaboration on something. And hope you guys have a wonderful night, and hope you guys have a safe and wonderful week and enjoy your weekend. Again, we'll not be having a show this Saturday or the following Wednesday. Our next show will be back on Saturday, the 21st. Will be our next show, and that will be our 100th episode. And Doug Highcheck will be back, and we'll probably have others popping in and out for the 100th episode. So again, thank you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you guys for sharing time with me. Thank you guys for being here, and thank you for enjoying the stories. Thank you for checking out the books. And if you haven't checked out the books, you can check those over. Check all of them out at daroberts.net. And I hope you guys will check those out and help share the DA universe. And if you want to help expand and continue the DA verse, get involved over at the Patreon community, because the patrons get involved on multiple levels. Hope you guys will check that out. And we'll see you guys on the 21st. It'll be a week from Saturday. Again, that'll be our 100th episode, and we're going to have a few things to give away. And I think it's going to be a great time. So I hope you guys have a wonderful night. We will see you guys a week from Saturday, and love you guys very much. Appreciate everything you do. Thank you for helping the show become what it is and help us continue to grow it. Like, share, subscribe, share the video with your friends, and we'll see you guys in a week. Y'all be safe.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAX Machina. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.